Hello and welcome to our webinar this afternoon, just to talking about hybrid working solutions and in the new norm that we've been forced into after the COVID experience. So joining me today are Ken Nelson and Fergal Quigley. Thanks guys for coming along today. You're so good to give your time to talk about this topic. So if we could just introduce ourselves first. I think that the purpose of today is just to let people know what's happening in the post-pandemic world and how hybrid working solutions are required for SMEs as well as the corporate marketplace. So if I introduce myself first, I'm Neve. I'm the sales manager here at Enterprise Solutions. And Enterprise Solutions have been providing remote working solutions for over 20 years, in different ilks, I will admit. So first to the corporate market and then to accommodate SMEs, because we've seen over the last 20 years how IT has become so important for every size company, and we have helped companies to adopt that. Guys, if you want to introduce yourselves.
Yeah, hello. I'll go first. Ken Nelson, country manager with Citrix. I manage the commercial side of the business for Citrix in Ireland. I've been with Citrix for just 4 years now, but I've been around Citrix a long time. I've been around the Citrix community for over 10 years now. So yeah, we've seen a huge change in the business since COVID, particularly internally in Citrix and with our customers. So looking forward to the discussion.
Thanks, Ken. And Fergal?
Yeah, my name's Fergal Quigley. I'm the Azure business lead with Micro Warehouse. So I've been around the IT industry for over the last 20 years, worked primarily in the cloud and the data center sort of world, in particular around infrastructure as a service, private cloud and Windows Virtual Desktop. I've worked with most of the clouds, from private cloud to AWS, and more recently with Microsoft Azure. For those who don't know, Micro Warehouse, we are a Microsoft CSP, or cloud service provider distributor here in Ireland. Work very closely with Enterprise Solutions. We've got like 450 partners that we work with in total. So my role in Micro Warehouse is to basically help our IT partner channel to basically design, build, and run cloud production environments up in Azure that are resilient and highly available. So I joined Micro Warehouse in February 2020 and pretty much have been working from home since then, when COVID kicked in and the lockdown. So yeah, my induction was quite truncated and non-standard. That's for sure.
Sorry, I was just going to say, Thea, thanks a million for joining today. I think we can all bring a nice different angle to the conversation and see how our individual companies and collective companies, customers are looking at the new norm and what comes next. So I think as a starting point, we just wanted to look at what the government are doing in Ireland. So we've seen, I don't know if it's by coincidence or by reaction or by design, but the government have introduced 3 incentives that they're encouraging companies to embark. And we can see these, you can see them on the screen there: the right to disconnect, our rural future, which includes broadband expansion, and the national remote work strategy. And I think this is very much aimed at the user, and I think as a country we will benefit from it. But it may provide some challenges to SMEs to embark in this and to honour these deals, and they will need to, in order to attract talent and retain talent, because the candidates will have more choice. That's what I see coming down the line. Fergal, you might jump in here because you're actually working remotely for the whole of COVID. How are you finding it?
Yeah, I'm based in Monaghan, so I've been set up a home office here. Set up my wife, both work remotely. We're lucky in that we've good broadband, so fibre straight to the door. So that obviously is a big help. Tools, obviously here, it's great that the government is encouraging remote working and hybrid work. So with these initiatives, they're particularly the rural future, obviously have appeals to me. and the right to disconnect, obviously, and the remote work strategy. So they all work hand in hand. We could see large corporations like Microsoft, for example, are adopting a hybrid work sort of strategy. For example, Microsoft are 50%, up to 50% of staff can look for 50% of the working week in a hybrid work environment, and they can increase this with manager consent. Similarly, management can actually approve permanent working from home, and things like flexi hours and the right to request part-time work as well. So the large corporations are doing it, but the SMEs also have to start looking at this as well, and putting in policies around this.
Yeah, I think that's the thing when it comes into legislation and some ilk. It does give the candidates good, and I think it's very positive from a digital well-being point of view. But we can't underestimate that it may cause some challenges for SMEs if they want to provide that. You know what I mean? And I think, Ken, you've a good story on this one for us. You might share it.
Yeah, I mean the remote work strategy. So employees will have the legal right to request remote working, and that's quite new to us. And if you're in the IT business and you're at the forefront of technology, well, that's quite easy to do. But if you're a small engineering company, or a business involved in distribution, or a legal firm, or a financial practice, it's quite difficult to give that the users the wherewithal to go and work from home. But we had just before lockdown, about 18 months ago, a guy came into our office for an interview for the inside sales team. Now the office in Citrix in Dublin is in East Point Business Park. And he came in for an interview, and one of the sales managers asked me to sit in on the interview. And I listened, and he was very, very articulate, very, very good guy, got a lot of experience. And at the end, we asked him, do you have any questions? And he had 2 questions for us. The first question was, I've just bought this new iPhone, and if I come in here, am I allowed to use this iPhone, or are you going to give me a phone? And if you're going to give me a phone, what type of phone are you going to give me? And what kind of applications are you going to put on the business? And I was thinking, wow, that's not something we've ever been asked before. And the second question was, he said, well, I have to come to the office every day, 5 days a week, or can I work from home 2 days a week? Because I don't want to come to the office 5 days a week. And I sat there thinking, this guy's interviewing us. He's making sure we fit him with his lifestyle. And I thought, well, that's it first that I've seen. And then I thought about it and thought, that's a really positive way that he's in the right mindset to be able to embrace working from home. The funny part was that guy lives in Fairview. So he could have come to work on a skateboard, and he never would have been late. But that's the mindset. It was just that, because in his mind, remote working is productive. It's productive work. And if you go back 20 years ago, Niamh, or 10 years ago, and somebody said they were working from home, that meant they were on the DOS for the day. Yeah. And now the perception has completely changed. So yeah, there's a huge thing. And even just last year, like in Citrix alone, 18 months ago on Citrix, only 30% of Citrix employees were classed as remote workers. And we've been in this business for 32 years now, but only 30% of Citrix employees were classed as remote workers. And now we've seen all of our users are remote work, and we've seen that remote work is productive work, and they've in a better mindset. They've got a better work-life balance. They spend more time with their families, and the work they're producing is very, very positive and very good work, and it's very productive. And I think that's here to stay. And I think we'll see a hybrid model going forward, but we can talk about that perhaps in a couple of minutes.
Yeah, exactly. And I flick onto the next slide there, and we look at some surveys that were done, and we can see that overwhelmingly, these are only 2 of many, many surveys that were done that show that, users do want the hybrid working model. So they want that, especially if they have any kind of a commute involved. So they want that work-life balance. They want to reduce their commute time. But they do want a certain element of collaboration and I suppose the social aspect of the thing, and it's like you touched on there, Ken. It's like COVID was like a real life POC, which proved that working from home can happen. And I think, like, this maybe not go down too well, but I think in Ireland, more than anything, I think we were slow to trust the working from home model. Yeah. Even at the start, we said, how will we know what people are doing? But ultimately, we've proved ourselves to be more productive, as you said, and that which has brought on this requirement for the digital well-being element to the whole thing. So we won't touch on that too long. Then I've another slide, and that's just showing that how the corporates are reacting. So the government have the incentives, the employees want it, and corporates are reacting, and they're agreeing that yeah, we can live with a hybrid working model. The POC worked, so let's see how we go from there. So I think I just have a sum up slide. A sum up slide normally comes at the end, but this is kind of a midway slide. But just to show that what we're saying here today is that the government are encouraging working from home. Users want to work from home. Corporations are reacting. So what does that mean for SMEs? So do they have the ability to, gain, retain talent, honour their obligations for the government incentives, and still have a productive workforce? And that's an open question. But one of the main things that's going to facilitate that or accommodate that is IT. And that's why we're here today, just to talk about how desktop as a service, which is an offering from Enterprise Solutions called My Virtual Workspace, can provide that. So I'll just flick on to this. This is just a really quick slide just to say that, why the three of us are here today. So Citrix, Microsoft and My Virtual Workspace, Citrix and Microsoft together and Enterprise Solutions give My Virtual Workspace. Sometimes I call it the Enterprise Solutions magic sauce, because we're taking what Citrix and Microsoft have to offer, putting a little bit of tuning on it, and the result is My Virtual Workspace. And as I touched at the start, Enterprise Solutions have been delivering remote working via Citrix and Microsoft for years. It started off, you guys have both worked with us for a number of years. So it started off with the corporates building their own environments. And then a few years ago, we built a hosted desktop that we delivered to customers in a data center, which was great, but it was Enterprise Solutions had to manage, maintain that. It was, the opposite to Evergreen, if we look at it that way. So now when we look at Citrix and Microsoft have these wonderful cloud solutions, experts building them, and then we can just take advantage of that and deliver them to any size company in Ireland. And that's what we're doing at the moment. So just to bring you guys in, I suppose you could help me talk through this slide, because this shows, I suppose, the building of it. And I think the main thing to focus is the top, the cloud. And I always say this to customer, a cloud isn't actually a cloud. And Fergal, you can probably adhere to that, what Azure really is.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose Azure is a platform. It's not a service. It's a multitude of services, and it's basically the Lego bricks that the likes of you, Enterprise Solutions partner, can put together solutions and building it. And My Virtual Workspace being one of them. But yeah, since I joined, Windows Virtual Desktop has been keeping me busy. That Scrabble for people to work remotely and work securely. It was basically the perfect storm for the likes of Windows Virtual Desktops. You mentioned there about Evergreen IT. At the back of this, I suppose your early solutions were doing, delivering desktop as a service. For on-prem, you still have to do that hardware refresh. That evolved then where you moved workloads, Windows Virtual, desktop as a service workloads up into the cloud. Again, still a bit of an overhead to manage the hypervisor layer, the underlying infrastructure, doing your hardware refresh. Again, the opposite to green IT. But now we're, Microsoft they look after the underlying platform. It is a pure evergreen IT environment. Microsoft keep all the components and elements up to date. They do the hardware refresh under the hood as part of their service. And as I say, My Virtual Workspace is built on top of that and leverages all of that.
And then even to touch on Azure, like Azure isn't floating around the cloud. Like maybe talk us through the number of data centers and how how their redundancy is built in there.
Yeah, so Azure have what they call regions, and a region can be one or more data centers. So at the moment there's 60 plus regions globally, so that's 100 plus data centers, and over 100, I think 140 countries. So it's absolutely monstrous. It's a large, enormous sort of platform and diversity. The Dublin region, which is called North Europe, is quite interesting. It's one of the biggest regions, and because I suppose of our power and cooling, our temperate climate, it's also one of the cheaper regions, interestingly. So within that region there, you've got multiple data centers, with the highest level of physical security across these, 24/7 man security, physical buildings, restricted access, biometric access controls on it. So it's world-class sort of physical security.
Exactly. So it's not
yeah.
it's not like when SMB, like when they used to have a server in the office, if the server failed or a disk failed, you had to rebuild it. The redundancy is top class in there.
Yeah,
So it's,
I mean, you've got three synchronous copies of your data held in a region as standard. From a fault tolerance and disaster recovery options, you have the option to replicate over to the paired DR region for Dublin, which is the Netherlands. So that's a paired region is typically 300 miles of separation. So as I say, it's cutting edge here. It's fault tolerance and DR is built in, and monstrous scale.
Yeah, and it's scale is the word there, because it's the economies of scale of that allow us to kind of carve it up and provide it to customers. And then I suppose over to you, Ken, then, because it's Citrix that allow us take that, which is data, applications, operating system, sitting in the data center. How do we get that to users, and how do we get it there efficiently, with a positive user experience? And that's really where Citrix comes into play.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I'll just go back to what I mentioned at the start. If you're a small engineering company or a distribution company or a legal firm or a finance firm, if you're not a tech business, how do you embrace the working from home and the hybrid model that people, that users want to go down? That's the experience that they want. And how do you deliver the workspace that people need? And how do you allow these distributed teams to be productive? So what's their user experience going to be like? And what's happening here is that Citrix and Microsoft are coming together to bring technology and infrastructure together to allow these users to work from anywhere. So on the left-hand side, we've got the Citrix workspace. So whether I'm on a Windows device or an Apple device or an Android device, the user experience I get from any device is the same. It's the same look, it's the same feel, the applications are in the same place, so it's familiar. And I feel at home when I'm using those applications. And then in the background, all the other technology is going on to protect me and to protect the data that allows me to work from any location, from any device, and to access any application from that device. So it really, I see it as, Microsoft and Citrix coming together to deliver this user experience. But the really important bit here is that it's delivered through the partner ecosystem. And this is where enterprise solutions come into it, because frankly, you've been doing this longer than anybody else has been doing it in Ireland. And if you're a small business, you're going to want to work with a local partner who's got the expertise in doing it. And that's where this solution is ideal for the SME market in Ireland.
Yes, thanks for saying that, Ken. Yeah, and we are confident of it, and the proof is in the pudding. And I think another important thing to note here from, if we tie in what both of you are saying, that there's nothing on the endpoint and there's nothing in the customer's building. So therefore, they're getting DR by default. So if a laptop dies, pick up another one. If there's no access to the building, whether it's pandemic, flood, wind, all the things snow, all the things we've experienced over the last couple of years, no problem. Just pick up a device, whether it's a corporate device you have at home or if it's your child's laptop. You still have access, and that's any really comes into play then with the two components there.
Yeah, if I could just add one thing, just on the
Sure.
any just very quickly. So we've a large utility company in Ireland. They were using Windows laptops, fat clients for many years, and in the last 2 years or so, they've embraced Google Chromebooks. And what they deliver is they roll Google Chromebooks, like 30% of their staff are contractors, and they're on site, and they're going to building sites, and they're going to drains, and they're going to farms, and they're going to all sorts of different locations. So the machines are getting rough, they're getting heavy work, okay? The idea there is that they roll out a Google Chromebook, costs €250 for a machine, and they roll out Citrix Workspace on the Google Chromebook. So the user is accessing Office 365 on a Google Chromebook through Windows, through Citrix Workspace to get their job done. And that's three different that's bringing Google into the mix as well. So the idea here is that, you know, you don't have to have a very expensive endpoint machine to give that really strong user experience, because remember, the data going up between Citrix and the data center is actually very, very small. So Fergal mentioned at the start, you know, he's in Monaghan, and he's got really good broadband. So with Citrix and Microsoft, again, the traffic going up on broadband is very, very small. So it's not reliant on you having a very, very strong, very big pipe coming into the house with broadband connectivity.
Yeah, which is great. And, you know, everything is available from Teams, video calls, all that kind of thing, which is so important for this hybrid working model, the collaboration. Yeah, and the evergreen. I had a funny story. My 11-year-old was heard something on the radio about evergreen, and he was like, "Are they talking about trees?" And I was like, "No, they're talking about evergreen IT." And then I was like, "How do I explain this to him?" And I said to him, "You know, when your iPhone, you get a message to say that, you know, an update is available tonight when you go to sleep." I said, "You never get that update ever again. You never get that message ever again. It just happens automatically." And he was like, "Oh, okay." So I was quite proud of myself being able to explain it that easily. But
yeah, he understands it.
Yeah, exactly. So that's really the way. So that is how we look at it. So if we go into the next slide, I think this just calls out some of the benefits. And you know, we'll let the audience have a read through that. We won't read it. We read through it out loud. But I would ask the two of you, maybe if you look at that in the conversations you're having with customers, what do you find is resonating with them, you know, in the current marketplace?
Particularly, you know, with the HSE ransomware last week in particular being quite pertinent. You know, the security and reliability has obviously been a big thing. So, you know, you know, obviously the space side of the office, but also the tech side, the bridge, the physical and the digital. You know, it kind of, you know, the perimeter is no longer just a firewall. It's now in identity and access management as your new firewall. And so Windows Virtual Desktop and my virtual workspace and Citrix sort of collaboration there is the perfect sort of solution. You know, it provides like that zero trust sort of security posture, which I think is very important. You know, so you're using, you know, the likes of multi-factor authentication, single sign-on, you know, and say all that at the back end that is switched on and managed by enterprise solution, you know, just to ensure that, yeah, the right solution, the right fit for the particular business solution for each customer.
Exactly, and we do pride ourselves on helping people to make those decisions. You know, what do I need from security? Because sometimes from the user experience, they say, "Oh, we don't want any passwords. We don't want, you know, we don't want this type of thing." But really, we have to guide them as you know, to balance on the user experience versus the security from that multi-factor authentication, etc. But it's, you know, it's multi-factor authentication is so much easier to use now with apps, etc. And the single sign-on element makes it easier. So, you know, we really are making the user experience as best we can, but not sacrificing on security, which wasn't always possible in the IT world. When you think back, us three who've been around long enough, you know, we can remember that. And for you, Ken, what would jump out of the page for you when you're talking to customers?
Well, ability to work from anywhere is a big one, and obviously security and reliability comes in, as Fergal has mentioned. And for me, you know, for a lot of companies that we're speaking to now, what they're really saying to us in a nice way is, Ken, how do I fast track my 2-year cloud journey into 6 months? That's what they want to do, because they understand that to embrace this new technology and to give the users the ability to work from home while protecting themselves and protecting the data, it's going to take a hybrid cloud platform to be able to do that. They're going to work with trusted vendors. They'll want to work with trusted providers, and more importantly, again, they'll want to work with trusted partners to be able to deliver all of this. And as I said, you know, if they're not a technology company, that can be quite daunting. That can be quite daunting. That's what this solution here gives, and that's why we're very happy to be a part of it.
Yeah, and I'm seeing that myself as well. It's that, say, the last point in the page there, the infrastructure replaced. It's because people have something they need to do. Like, God forbid, some people have Windows 7 devices still out there, and that's a project that should have happened in 2019, maybe 2020. COVID came and things were put on hold. And things that were needed to be done 2 years ago or 18 months ago weren't done because COVID ate into budgets for other things. So now this cash flow friendly offering where you don't have to, if you've got creaking infrastructure, if you never got your DR to the stage that you needed it to be, don't worry, because my virtual workspace does all of that. And as I said on the slide, a few slides back, it says desktop as a service is not your desktop. It's everything. It's your data, it's your infrastructure, it's your security, all wrapped up and delivered back to you. So along with the support element of it.
Well, I definitely think that the cash flow friendly aspect there is
Yeah.
very, very appealing. You've got your, Azure, for example, is a consumption sort of in arrears type of product, but Micro Warehouse, or sorry, Enterprise Solutions is taking that and they're now delivering that on a per user per month pricing model. So as companies scale up or scale down and add new staff, or staff leave, that can ebb and flow with that. So that is very attractive, and your managed service contract bundle in that. So from an accountant's perspective, they can budget for this, from a techie, from an IT perspective and HR perspective, it's it's an ideal scenario, just to add and remove customers or users as needed.
Exactly, and that we're very diligent about that. Pay for what you use. At the end of a month or quarter, depending on this at the cycle, you can see what you've used, which comes into play when people have apprentices or interns or anything like that come in. Just ramp them up. Certain times of the year you have additional staff, whether it's Christmas or summer season for the catering. We've one customer in the catering industry, they're busier. Well, they're suppliers to catering, but they're busier in the summer season. So yeah, we can accommodate that, and that's really what we need to remember. So you've got some cash flow friendly. You don't have to embark on any projects, and you get all the other benefits there for you that any and in a secure way. So I think the next slide just calls out some of the, again, it's a busy enough slide, but it just calls out some of the inclusions. So I think it's worth leaving on the screen for a few minutes, and it just lets people to see what's there. And some of these benefits come from the Citrix infrastructure, some are coming from the Microsoft Azure side of things, and then some are what Enterprise Solutions are adding in. So, the three of us together are making sure that all of these, literally the boxes are ticked, or the dots are ticked in this case. So again, lads, is there anything that jumps out of the page to you there that you'd like to, is worth talking through, or I think we've covered so much now?
Well, again, security is a big emphasis here. The end users are getting enterprise class, infrastructure at the back end, plus they're getting enterprise class security. So it's securing the hybrid SMB customer. So it's just the perfect solution for that.
Yeah, I think so. Sorry, Ken, go ahead.
Sorry, just very quickly, the one that jumps off the page for me is single sign-on. I didn't realize the beauty and the benefit of single sign-on until I joined Citrix. In my previous company, we had many different complex, large applications. Each one had a separate username and a password. And it seemed like every day, Niamh, you have to reset a password. And then you forget the password. And then you start, and it just became very labor intensive. And I didn't realize the beauty until I joined Citrix. So it's a single username and a password, and it gives me access to the entire application. And the way somebody put it to me, it's a bit like, once you have the whole door to the house and you open the front door, you can go anywhere. Whereas previously, like, a bit like being in a hotel, you can walk into the lobby, but to get into each room in the hotel, you need another key. And that's the way.
Ken, why are you going into more than one hotel room? Could I just ask?
Good point. Yeah, but you see where I'm going.
I'm only joking. Yeah, of course. Yeah, and the other thing sometimes I have to remind people is the antivirus thing, because they have other point subscriptions that they're used to doing. So they understand that I'm giving them Office and Citrix and, hosting their data, but I have to remind them that, yeah, I'm also going to do your antivirus, and I have a bit of web filtering in there, so we have all these point solutions, and I'll give you your collaboration with Microsoft Teams. You know, so you don't need some of the point solutions that you previously had, all those subscriptions. But if you have a line of business application, so if you're a solicitor and you need your case management application, or you need your dictation software, yeah, we'll host that for you and deliver it back. So it's really, sometimes I forget to tell people that, because I'm so used to this all-inclusive solution that, you know, sometimes it takes me a second to remind people when I'm talking to them, yeah, and your support is included. Yeah, you don't need a managed service solution with someone else. Our help desk becomes your help desk. So it's, you know, as I say, we are proud of the offering, and we think we've ticked every box, and hopefully we are doing that. So I think that's us then, lads. I think. Yeah, this is just to sum up, and this is more or less what we've been saying through the whole thing. So it's that anywhere solution, enterprise class, with the help of Microsoft and Citrix and the what they're bringing to the table, and then enterprise solutions wrap it all up and deliver it back in predictable billing per user per month, scale up, scale down. You know, suitable for more or less any size companies. We're seeing majority is like 25 plus up to 200, but really you know, it can be tailored for anyone's use. And as I say, you know, bring your line of business applications with you and we'll deliver them back. So that's really where we're at. So I think that's us. Just open to a few questions. I think a few questions have come in. They've just been pinged over to me there. If I have a look. So yeah, someone is saying we're looking to introduce hot desking environment in the office. How would this work? And I think this goes back to your story, Ken, about the Chromebooks. So this is a perfect solution, because it really is any device, and it's delivered down. So yes, whoever's asked that question, 100%. You could have anything, a thin client or a laptop. Even I think there's isn't there, Ken, you could tell the story about the county council in the UK that have the vending machine. Do you know that one?
No.
Yeah,
Sorry.
there's I don't, they can't call them county councils, one of the boroughs in the UK, and they have a vending machine of Chromebooks. So
Okay.
if someone comes in, they just help themselves to a Chromebook, release it, use it for the day, and then dock it back in at the end of the day. So it works for consultants, staff, everyone alike, and they can just pick them up and hot desk wherever they want. Which means you don't even have to have a hot desk with a screen on it. They can do it that way. And then if someone takes it home, needs to take it home, they do. And if it absolutely goes missing, it's not a big loss. If you know, there's no data on it, and the value of the device is very cheap. So that's just my sales director tells that story all the time. It's his favorite. So let me see if there's another question there. Our staff require external tools such as printers and foot pedals to do their work. How does that work? Yeah, that's fine. I think that probably is from a solicitor's type practice. We've seen that where, you know, dictation machines and foot pedals are used for the stop go to make it crudely. But yeah, we can support all USB devices and support printing, multiple paper trays, you know, headed paper, continuation paper, all that kind of stuff. We've done that for many customers and no problem at all. And then, sorry, the last question. Sorry, since this is a virtual desktop, does it work the same as a normal laptop desktop in terms of functionality and speed? And I suppose I could answer that as well, or you guys can jump in. So it will be the same. It's slightly different when you turn on your laptop, you launch Citrix Workspace, and then your desktop is within that. So it's an extra, I wouldn't even say it's an extra click. It's just half a click to launch it. And then there's different ways to look at it. But as I say, there's a QR code there on the screen. So a demo of it would probably really illustrate how it works. And you know, from a functionality and speed, it's the same as Ken explained. Because of the way Citrix technology works, it doesn't impede, it doesn't consume a lot of broadband, and it makes things, it actually sometimes Teams can be delivered better through Citrix than it can be natively through Microsoft, because of the way the optimization can happen. I think I'm technically allowed to say that. But I think that's it. So I think that's us, guys. We're kind of wrapped up in, 30 to 40 minutes, but I just wanted to thank everybody for joining us. I just wanted just to see what we were talking. And I think if I go back to my sum up slide, if I'm allowed to go up, I'm not sure if I am. I think this is really what we were wanted to say today, is that, the government are looking out for the Irish people, and that's great. But what does that mean for business owners, and how do they accommodate it? And how do they then benefit from their staff having that, that work-life balance that they crave, and then to be able to attract new talent and retain talent? I think that really sums it up today. Do you two agree?
Yeah, I think so.
So that's it. Thanks a million for your time, guys.
Thanks very much, Nate.
All right.
Thanks,
See you later.
Fergal.
Thanks.
Take care.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.